If not, okay. Tibetan and English both. Okay. And maybe Mariko, you are the English Chan master. Okay.
Okay.
Lama dong gombo jizun jambe yang la chan za lo gang ge lo zhu jem yin zhen nian da ran am da rab zar wei jin yi teng gu xie xin su jie ni jie du gar leng wang zhen kang da zi bei zang ra ma rei men dang dang a ji se Lo zoi gen lai pe ye da ze yin la zhe jie yang den song, zhou da rei jie zhou yi niu mo nin, li ji jia zhou zhen zi jin, ma rei me se dong a rei niu ge xi ni jun zi, ra zhe nan de ne da jian sa jun tar song yu den lun zoi jar se de wo. 就这觉当就你坚持大路，没事人间白养老的。
Homage to the Guru and the Protector, Venerable Mount Ghosha. Your wisdom is brilliant and pure like the sun, free from the clouds of the two obscurations. You perceive the whole of reality exactly as it is, and so hold the book of transcendental wisdom at your heart. You look upon all beings imprisoned within samsara, enshrouded by the thick darkness of ignorance and tormented by suffering, with the love of a mother for her only child. Your enlightened speech, endowed with 60 melodious tones, like the thundering roar of a dragon, awakens us from the sleep of destructive emotions and frees us from the chains of karma. Dispelling the darkness of ignorance, you wield the sword of wisdom to cut through all our suffering. Pure from the very beginning, you have reached the end of the 10 bhumis and perfected all enlightened qualities. Foremost of the Buddha's heirs, your body is adorned with the 112 marks of enlightenment. To Mandragosha, the gentle-voiced, I prostrate and pray, dispel the darkness from my mind.
Om Mara Bhattana Om Mara Bhattana Zeden je jera vezere je dalo demo memba ramzare. Kadan den chu shung lo do ba ye lo ro bo be no zar do zo.
With all your kindness and love, let your wisdom's shining light clear the darkness of my ignorance once and for all. Grant me, I pray, the intelligence, the brilliance to understand the scriptures, the words of the Buddha and works of the masters.
Anze da waran do ban chung se je waran do nai. Gompo nyam yo chu ni ne gime ban yon tong wei shou.
And whenever I wish to look upon you or ask of you anything at all, Lord and Protector, Manjushri, let me see you without any hindrance. From the blossoming lotus of devotion, O Lama, take care of me. O Lama, take care of me. O Lama, take care of me. From the blossoming lotus of devotion at the center of my heart, rise up, O compassionate Lama, my only refuge. I am plagued by past actions and turbulent emotions. To protect me in my misfortune, remain as a jewel ornament on the crown of my head, the chakra of great bliss, arousing all my mindfulness and awareness, I pray.
Rinjo sungwen de ye zawa zon zalong te le rang yin shang jo sen. Ngo rang yin tu ji jin kor la e shang jo nying po par de jab sun chi.
In the three jewels and their essence, the Sugatas, in the three roots, Guru, Deva, and Dakini, in the nadis, vayus, and bindus and their nature, bodhicitta, in the mandala of essence, nature, and compassion, I take refuge until enlightenment is fully realized. In the three jewels and their essence, the Sugatas, in the three roots, Guru, Deva, and Dakini, in the nadis, vayus, and bindus and their nature, bodhicitta, in the mandala of essence, nature, and compassion, I take refuge until enlightenment is fully realized.
Oe na tso na wa chin de zin ri ji korwa lu gun jin de chan ben ro. Rang re wo zhe yin song a zo je ti mi shi yin an ne sen ji tong.
Oh, memorized by the sheer variety of perceptions, which are like the illusory reflections of the moon and water. Beings wander endlessly astray in samsara's vicious cycle. In order that they may find comfort and ease in the luminosity and all-pervading space of the luminous expanse of awareness, I generate the immeasurable love, compassion, joy, and equanimity of the awakened mind, the heart of bodhicitta.
Oe che le che roi xie xin de yi xie yin le zhe bie lar. Rang sang we san ri bi chang ca lo nyam nong kong be jo ban bo. Ri ba zi pe ngan de xia ai chen ni se lai ji ye rang. Po chen long ne chung ko ko ja lu chen bo ju so ren de.
Oh, like bubbles appearing on water, all of you deities arise from the space of primordial wisdom before us. I prostrate in direct awareness of the ultimate nature. I offer the increase of visionary experience. I confess in full measure of awareness. I rejoice in the exhaustion of phenomenal reality. I implore you, turn the wheel of Dharma from the expanse of great transference. I request you, please remain in the great rainbow body. I dedicate all the merit toward the youthful vase body.
Okay, thank you so much. And now we can go to our text. And today's maybe I hope everyone's okay that our last day session here this year, and we take a summer break. Everyone seems need a summer break, and we see what will happen. Meanwhile, if we need to extend today a little bit due to the questions that I already have, and I also prepare a little bit about this Jigme Lingpa's own commentary that seems very important, but I don't know if it's available in English or not. It's questionable, and also since this is very profound text, maybe no one really touched this text, but in the future, it's not long text. if I have chance to have time to translate, of course, then I will share with you and you can work on English and we could make a better version of English translation. But meanwhile, it's some passages is that coming from uh, Chuinzu itself, so it's not that difficult, I think. Okay, maybe we look at our text now, and then we finish first the text. I think we are almost the end of the text. There's not much left to talk about. 1 minute. Uh, Tibetan here, and I need to sometimes look at the Tibetan. And I think we just left, and we must cut directly to the source. Is that true? I couldn't hear anything, but seems everyone agreed to that, and that we say cutting through meditation. And then the next verse is another very important verse that we can see. The Rigpa has always been free from conceptual elaboration. We talk a little bit about what is Rigpa and what's Yexie. These two to mean as Yexie or the gnosis or the primordial knowing is more ultimate reality that we call. We put Dharmakaya as a Buddha, a suchness, what they call reality body, sometimes in English, some reality body. And that Buddha endowed with this wisdom is called Yexie. And then Rigpa is, for me, it's more individuals, what we have, this child luminous or the mother luminous we talk about, the Dharmakaya. So wisdom is more mother luminous and Rigpa is more child luminous. And once we merge or unite child light and the mother light, and some tantras talks about these two are lights, and that means become a Buddhahood. So our Rigpa has even we are deluded, but Rigpa itself is never deluded. That is the same as in the Buddha nature doctrines. The Buddha nature is like a space or sun, clouds, and weather conditions never obscure the nature of the sun or the nature of the uh, sky. Has always been free from conceptual elaboration. The conceptual is our thoughts. Conventions such as the view, meditation, and conduct that we discuss quite a lot. These three are belongs to the path when we talk about ground, path, and fruition. And Enozokian view and meditation and conduct, these three are just effortless or uncontrived or mainly it's natural. Any clinging to them is cleared without the basis or origin. So, and these clear or the awakened or the purified, cleared, it's either way we can use all kind of verbs to to show that this nature is unobscured. And even these clingings, any clingings has no basis, no origins, which means mainly samsaric uh, appears due to the conceptual mind, but there is not really trace or the origin or the cause, real cause of it. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, and those in between, without slipping into any such categorization, are free from rising without any agent to make distinctions. So, uh, so here, automatically cherish our good thoughts and uh, discard our bad thoughts. Sometimes we call this undifferentiated state. So these are what, when we meditate on anything with mainly the vipassana or shamatha, both sometimes we are falling into this concept. And so we should be aware that we should not slipping into any such category, means good thoughts or bad thoughts and other thoughts. These should be free upon rising, means that these once we do not categorizing or do not accepting rejection and denial and kind of affirmation, these anything is not involve our meditation, then everything is freed upon rising without any agent or make a distinction. If we don't need to make a distinction. As soon as thoughts evolves, then of course a judgment comes, and then we have this selection of good versus bad. These are our nature. That's why Chukchu practice is so powerful, that the moment you look at your my nature, all the conceptual thoughts are cut through or not only subside, but it's um, completely uprooted. So there is no trace of the thoughts. That's why it's so important in there. That is the sort of main Dzogchen message, practice or meditation, that should not have any involvement of your conceptual thoughts. Soon as it have even the trace of conceptual thoughts, it's not the cutting through practice. We will talk a little bit about that from his commentary, maybe as here's a passage. I trying to rough translation I will share with you, and you can play with it, and you can uh, improve my English to any feedback or change any way you want. Let me know. So anything we can kind of collectively we can make maybe English as readable and meaningful as well. As long as awareness does not lose in on ground, so there is no need for anything more than these. So this is we trying to understand what does that really mean, and we look at Dungyum Rinpoche's Lama Jambu, and there is a vividness of Rigpa, but there is no discrimination or discriminating on it. So nakedness and rawness of the Rigpa are the lights that uh, as long as awareness does not lose its ground, means once it's loose, it either slipping into concept, which involves you can see exception, denial, affirmation, and so forth. And these, so the last two lines, yeah. As long as awareness does not lose its on ground. So that's a structured practice. As long as with this moment looking at our back of our head and even millisecond or whatever we can maintain and adapt, there's no need for anything more than this. So we don't need to do anything else. And how this confidence or Jigme Lingpa's sort of telling us that we should have a great confidence in this. Say, even if you were to meet 100 scholar monks, 1,000 siddhas, and 10,000 translators and penditas, and 100,000 penditas or penditas, I think, should have 100,000 instructions or billion treaties, and still here to be no call to clarify uncertainty or doubt. So here is Jigme Lingpa is really telling us that now we should not have any doubt. Even there's millions of teachers out there that teaches in a certain way, but once we are not losing ground of our own awareness, then that is the actual practice. And samaya is a Sanskrit term. Let the sign be observed. So this is a little bit nuance of way of saying what I understand, and Adam Percy, and I suggest that before he has the sign is fading or something, but I say the sun is kind of permanently observed or stays in a in invisible way in these texts, which means these texts is sort of dharma text. And then here his colophon is easy. To my only son, Tianze was there. This is given by the Samadhi of awareness in the manner of the transmission of blessing and realization. Do not show it to anyone. Of course, then he always violates that. I'm doing that as well, but at least we can see these precious texts. It's sometimes called Chukundamba, the Dharmakaya Mass. We can, these kind of texts, Jigme Lingpa's on Mass. So even we sing Jigme Lingpa, and Yishi Lamas, and these texts are our tradition, saying even we sing Jigme Lingpa, he cannot give more than this. And Jigme Lingpa also told one before he went to parinirvana that people who didn't meet me, who didn't see me in the future, who want really to learn from my texts and so forth, should read Ishe Lama and these texts as well. So those are important to us. Fortunately, we have chance to read these due to our guru, our root guru, Gachen Rinpoche's kind of main tradition, lineage, or his own experience and practice. And I also get teachings or the whole Jigme Lingpa's non-volume transmission and empowerment and so forth from Dodo Rinpoche, who's third Dodo Rinpoche, and now he's also passed away. But so you can see these are important, and but conceal it in your heart. So the heart is this to keep us a heart practice. So that's what it's saying. I think these texts is not that long. Maybe you can um, chant if you can daily basis. Then it gives more blessing and also familiarity of these texts. It's very important that is so you can see how Garchen Rinpoche treat these texts and Mipa Rinpoche's the other texts. Thus, in Agnishta cave on the 26th day of the month of miracles, at the time when the Dakinis gathered during my dark retreat, I set these down aside of a precious paper. So he wrote this due to the his student Chenze was there. This profound oral transmission is sealed with atom. So atom is another, it's not really Tibetan, not Sanskrit, but people for a long time, scholars trying to find out what does that really mean. And then it's true or not, but at least in the Pompo tradition, we have these Xiangqungs, the upper part of the Tibet in the early days, in old days, and that's called Xiangqung, where the Pompo tradition or religion flourished there, and their language, at least the dictionary says this atam means shut your mouth, which means don't talk to others, chat with others. So only this and only this means this is the only one. And then the contents are elaborated upon in the words of the omniscient. So this is the oral commentary by Jigme Lingpa himself. That's title is here is called The Words of the Omniscient One. And the Omniscient One is usually referring to Longchenpa. So when Jigme Lingpa writes texts, he used as omniscient in here. So I have 1 minute, if I can. I did something. Maybe this is sort of useful here. We see. If someone wants to project that as well, while we are reading, we can make corrections or anyone have more English skills and it doesn't make sense in English, please let me know. So my title I made is slightly different, but the meaning is the same. You can see what the title here is.
The oral transmission of the omniscient one.
Yeah, the words of on the oral Tibetan has this pit instruction kind of oral transmission of that. So here, the very beginning, since we don't have English translation on of these texts. It's very short. It's not word by word translation, but I just want to show you that how texts, how the nature of the text and how Jigme Lingpa is critical on the Dzogchen practitioners who probably could be make mistakes in understanding of the Dzogchen. You can make a little bit fonts larger, or maybe. So maybe since Sandra, maybe you can read first paragraph of English.
Over the years, many accomplished meditators undertook arduous ascetic practices in solitary retreat, pushing themselves to the limits. Though they received guidance from spiritual mentors who nurtured their development, most never came close to realizing the ultimate essence of the definitive secret, the great perfection, Dzogchen.
Mm-hmm. Here he think, I mean English, maybe you can understand a little bit, but since most Dzogchen teachers who guides students, they themselves are not really equipped with fully understanding of the Dzogchen itself. And if that's the case, is he's critical on what they do. We talk about in the very beginning of this text, there is ne ju rik sum, the recognition of the resting mind or settling the mind or the rebinding mind, and then the recognition of the movement or the thoughts arising, and then recognition of the mind itself. So here I'm somehow become nature of mind is we thought that's maybe better in somehow English want to say nature of mind, but it's not. Tibetan has not really nature of mind. Maybe we can take out that. And Ted, you can read next paragraph.
They often declared, recognizing the mind, whether in stillness or in movement, is the highest point of meditation. Once this is understood, nothing more is required. Believing this insight to be sufficient, they made no further commitments. As a result, they failed to draw near to the profound realization of the primordially pure openness. Not even slightly did they transcend their old habitual patterns.
So here is, of course, sometimes Jigme Lingpa and any Longchenpa and so forth, they sometimes use harsh words that you can see they're, we cannot say they're agitated, but they are maybe a little bit upset with people are tearing down the Dzogchen. And here you can see the people are satisfied with the recognition of the mind that whether it's rest or stirred. So that is the sort of final goal they teach. And you can sometimes you can hear many times in our modern days we have mindfulness and so forth. Recognition of the mind is sort of movement, and a resting mind is a very important aspect of the meditation. So here he's saying this is not really the Dzogchen practice of the mind. And maybe next one is Spencer. You can finish these two lines or two paragraphs.
Yet, holding themselves in high regard and overestimating their attainments, they ended up wasting their lives in vain, a truly tragic fate. Therefore, free from arrogance and complacency, and with a heartfelt motivation, I have resolved to compose the Upadesha known as the oral transmission of the Omniscient One.
Yeah, it seems it's a really important text pointing out this. And there is many crucial points in the text. It's not really going through any much of the Vajra verses itself. We see if someone come up with a good English translation, you can read it, but if not, then one day we can manage to reading through these texts to make. So even this is a very small portion, but if you have time and you think there's needs adjustment and better vocabularies and so forth, feel free to do it, and whether individually or collectively, I would love to hear back from you. And then another point, same text, he points out is relates to our question, I think Lee's question, that we have a list, maybe everyone have it, the list. So if you or someone maybe Lee seems not here to express. Maybe Paula, can you read Lee's questions?
Oh, I think Spencer and Mariko has access to the list, so maybe.
Okay, then Mariko.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Spencer, I put it in the chat box if you want to read it.
I've got it here. So Lee's question is, using the example of Chandrakirti, drawing the picture of a cow on a monastery pillar and then milking it, could Kempo explain this in terms of the interplay of Dang, Rolpa, and Tsao?
Yeah, this most people may not have under, understanding of that story. I think we have a Madhyamaka group now. Arina's here and a few of Chenru, except that we don't have, or maybe James is here. So the end of the text, Madhyamaka Avatara, at colophon of Chandrakirti's text, say these texts is written by one who draw milking from the draw cow. The idea is the Chandrakirti draw a cow and then milk from there to serve many monks in a monastery. That's just how all phenomena are unreal. There's nothing's real, so we don't need. We treat as our cow as real cow. That only can give milk, but even a draw cow can give milk. That is the story, and that is the image, and that is the example here Lee is addressing. And the Tibetan Dang Rolpa Tsal is sometimes maybe use the three terms. Better to use Tsal first, Rolpa second, Dang second, Rolpa the further. So these three are that. And we could do everything in sort of these use as these terms to explain because Zal means just energy. So the problem is, I think, our concept of these three are the energies. These three are not energies. The only Zal means energy. As you can see in the translations use as dynamic energy or dynamism. That is called Zal. And sometimes power, Zal means power. And so this drawn is arising from whether Chantakirti's hands or something that's another factor behind that to appear as a draw cow. So that is whether we call dang. Dang means already rise to from these zao, and dang you often use as expression or radiant, mainly radiance better maybe. So dynamic energy gives a radiant. So that the idea is similar. Yeah? We have the energy, the potency, and then it gives radiant or the energy outflow. And then rollbar comes. Rollbar means it's already appear as an object. Then it's called display. So these three are, you can see, even in English, my English maybe, if you can, energy to radiant to display. Yeah. So that sense is not really totally works with Chandakirtis maybe, but somehow we can use the Zal as whatever cause to draw the cow, and then appears down as radiant image, and then if interaction with or rollbar, that gives milk. Maybe that's, but that is not really tightly we can understanding in that way. Maybe Paula, you can read my translation of this. What is Zala and what is Rolba in here?
From self-occurring gnosis, the dynamic energy, Saul, of great compassion stirs, and then the very consciousness that arises in relation to an object is known as a display, ropa, arising from that dynamic energy. However, it is not the self-occurring gnosis itself, for it is contingent upon the presence or absence of an object.
Here, same text, Jigme Lingpa write this. And then, of course, this is not Jigme Lingpa's own writing. It's Longchenpa's writing from the commentary of the Chuyin-Zu. You can see here, people often make mistakes, or people often misuse to say this is Rigbi Zao, and then say everything's similar, as it's sort of same, and everything sounds, when sometimes people say to display the origin of the Rigpa, and then it seems there is some good things going on. But it's not really there is good or bad. It's just saying it's just Rolpa of Rigpa, and that's just nothing we can rely on, or we don't need to discriminate, or earlier was saying we don't need to choose to distinguish good versus bad and so forth. But this is totally my rough English translation. I just want to point out this Zao. The mind itself, or consciousness itself, whatever the mind we think about, our mind is that rise in relation to non-objects. The mind cannot really rise without objects, have objects, because mind is subject-object duality, the need to function. Display, that is called rolba. The mind itself is called rolba. And rising from the Rigbi Zao, the dynamic energy of the awareness is rising from the dynamic energy, this rolba. However, it is not the self-occurring gnosis itself, means this is not Yixie, Rangjung Yixie, you can see there. Or it is the contingent upon the presence or absence of an object. So mind is depend on whether there is object or not. If there is no objects, mind cannot rise. If there is objects, mind can rise. So this is totally depend on subject-object duality. The role by is subject-object duality. So this is seems for me is quite clear that here we have, and then of course Longchenpa is sometimes used as rule by Zao, means rule by itself as Zao. Then Zao is just energy of these samsaric appearances of mind itself as rule, but it doesn't take Zala as always good. There is not just kind of a wisdom or something. Zala means just energy. Every single item would have Zala, power, energy, and so forth. So here, I don't know. It's maybe difficult to find out. But if you have Richard Van Room's translation of the commentary, it's page 107 on a commentary. And anyone can have handy on that. We can maybe look at his translations, could be much, much better than mine and clearer than mine, or even you'll find Sangjin Kando's or something that makes more sense to me. That is just my translations, more word by word, sort of Tibetan, close to Tibetan, what Jigme Lingpa and Longchen Ramjan wrote and Jigme Lingpa code there. It seems very important. Then Dang is between there. So the energy radiance or the stirs out, and then the product is the roll bar or the display. So it's not that complicated in the sense of Tibet. Okay, that's line. Just I provide you up to sense objects are involved. So from there. Okay, Sandra, maybe in fact.
In fact, starting there.
Yes.
In fact, what stirs from naturally occurring timeless awareness is the dynamic energy of responsiveness. Consciousness experiencing sense objects is explained to be the display arising due to that dynamic energy, but it is not naturally occurring timeless awareness because the two are distinguished on the basis of whether or not sense objects are involved. Because if skillful means are not applied, consciousness creates the karma and afflictive emotions that ensnare one in a conditioned existence. And because the nature of conceptualization and analysis does not transcend what is inherent in samsara.
Yes. So this is, you can see whether or not sense objects are involved. Up to that is there is what I provide you, the English. So he used these conscious experiences and sense objects. It limits a little bit because when sense objects means sense faculties, objects, but it's the objects of everything. It's objects of including mental objects that maybe even alaya, objects of alaya and so forth. So not kind of limited in a sense objects. And because the two are distinguished, that I'm not sure. It's not there. It's not two that he used here. Of course, maybe it clarifies English.
But I think in English, what he's saying is because naturally occurring timeless awareness and consciousness are distinguished on the
Yes,
basis.
that's why I'm saying. But that is not in the Tibetan.
Mhm.
And these are both involving whether object is or not is only mind. The wisdom itself doesn't involve whether objects or not. So absence or presence of objects is not the case. And the conscious experience is, of course, maybe in English needs to say experience, but it's saying the mind itself. So it rise the very first in the mind. And that is Rolba, it's not the Zao. And you can see display here. And then his translation of this self-occurring. The gnosis is naturally occurring timeless awareness and so forth. But the main point here is the Satsal and the Rolba are two different things. And these are not the same. And then Dang is, we say, the radiant, that between Zal and Rolba, that's called Dang. And Rolba itself has a Zal because every phenomenon has a Zal. So that in a basic space of phenomena, that his translation, you can read that. And I just pointing out that what I have, and maybe you have time to figuring out those things if you want. Seems important part. And then we have a Mark question, so maybe you can read for us as well.
Are we going to share screen or do I need to bring up my
It's
question?
in the chat, Mark.
Oh, it's in the chat. Okay. Rinpoche, will you please explain dung and dung? So G dung and M dung. So the text we're studying does talk about Rikpe dung, and we've talked a little bit about dung sal ropa, but we have two different dungs, and maybe it might be helpful to learn about the differences between the two.
Yes, first these two spellings. It's a different function. People who don't read Wiley is not readable, but you can see the spelling is a little bit different. Mark's writing here, and GDANGS, and then we have another one is MDANGS. So these two are when we say in the pronunciations pretty much the same, both are done. And we discussed these GDA and GS done. That is, we talk about this between Zal and Roba, the energy and display, the dynamism and the display, the further end of the. So dynamism is the innate kind of potentiality that through the radiance to rise as an object is called rule by the display. So that we use this dang, the radian, GDA and GS. And then MDA and GS is MDA and GS, which is often used for complexity. When we talk about peacock's feathers, we call dang, machine dang. That is the what M. So almost we never use this as a radiant sense of the between the inner energy to outflow energy. So these two are distinct in a that function is in a that different way. And then your next one.
And Rinpoche is Jidang with G, is that more related to maybe like Tingsao? And Mdang is more related to Chisao, maybe? Or no?
But Mdang usually never used for that function.
Okay.
It's just describe the color of peacock.
Okay.
Or complexity of face. It's more describing the future or the complexity of the things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second question is a follow-up on the first one. The second question is, experientially, when we think about practice, either Trekcho or Tugal, how would Dang be involved in that process? In those practices?
In the Chukchu sense, we know people are big deal of the dynamic energy or display of Rigpa, and that's why Longchenpa and Jigme Lingpa is saying the display of Rigpa is not a Rigpa. It's just phenomena that what you see, and it's not saying that we need to cherish that or we need to make a big deal on that. It's saying that just don't engage with any displays. This just requires a display of nature of request display or coming from energy. It doesn't mean anything. There is no roots, no base, no support. As in the Tukyu practice, those are naturally should be liberated without any trace. But it comes to Toga practice, then Dang is very important part. And then all the visions are what we encounter with Toga practice. It's called Rigdang, the Rigbi Dang, not Rigbi Zal, it's Rigbi Dang. So this Dang means now whatever we encounter with some of my friends, they don't like to use vision, but they want to use appearances because vision seems like to do what individuals practice or whatever, but appearances then means it's always there whether we are accessed or not. So either we use appearance or vision, doesn't really matter, but Toga practice itself is practicing the vision. And this vision is particularly the Toga visions called Rigdang, Rigbidang. So this is radiant of the Rigpa. So that's why it's so powerful that we are encounter with the radiance of Rigpa, and then we have access to Rigpa. But still, I think there is whether Rigdang or Rigpa is how to separate. We saw the Rigpitzal and Rolpa are described in a little bit differently.
Okay, and then final question is very simple, very easy. We've talked a little bit about, and I've heard you in other teachings talk about the 8 gates or the 8 doors of spontaneous presence. I've read a little bit in the Yeshe Lama and the Sigdon Zod on the 8 gates, but I don't really see a lot of information or where to find in-depth information. So do you have any recommendations on where to read more in depth on the 8 gates in particular? And English or Tibetan is fine. I can work through very slowly.
That Yeshe Lama is very brief at the 8 gates, and mainly that's coming from Chigden Zu. So there is a few Longchenpa's texts that we don't have in English. Which one is the Treasury of Supreme Vehicle, which has 2 volumes, and you can look at there as well. And then you also talks about Bima Nyingti and or the Nyingti Yashi or 17 tantras, and those the 17 tantras are usually don't give much because it's a verse and root text. It doesn't really give very detailed explanation. However, there's commentaries on the 70 tantras. There are 6 texts that has commentary. It's a big volume. Trantanjo has one. Longtuk has one, and then Mutintingwa and so forth. There is, but so far, the Zhigdunzu one is quite a little bit elaborate, more than others. And Tingchonzu, maybe you can look at Tingchonzu. Tingchonzu has a much more intense 2 volume. This is Treasury of Supreme Vehicle.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And next one is Ted. Your question.
Yeah, I can explain it. I was just wondering, Kempel, if you had any advice on applying some of the kind of Dzogchen context we've been discussing in this group to the practices that I tend to be doing on a regular, daily basis, which are just Nundro accumulations. It seems some of the terms and ideas might be applicable during, say, like the dissolution stage of the practice where you're just resting. But I'm wondering when during the actual accumulations, if there's a way to apply any of the teachings we've been discussing in those contexts as well.
That I think what kind of Ngondo we are practicing. Usually you can see Dzogchen-oriented preliminary practices that we saw in the Longchen Yingti and the Dunjom and others really focus on the terms they employ are pretty much Dzogchen terms. We saw the 7 branch prayers from the Nyingtik preliminary, not preliminary practice, but Rinzindupa, the gathering of Vidyadharas, has this heavily embedded in this Toga practice. Maybe Chenru, you can project the 7 branch that we chant just earlier. So these are, and then our Chongling Tersa tradition then comes to Gunsang Tuktik, the heart essence of the Guntu Sangbo, which is really the main practice of the Dzogchen practice sadhana. which Gurjen and every 3-year retreats we need to do that practice, and that practice is every term is a Dzogchen term, and it has on a preliminary and also has the instruction or the teaching a text, which Drukgyal Rinpoche usually give that for the retreat people, that it's a particular Dzogchen practice. Empowerment is there, and motus are there, and also both Tukyu and Tugar practice use that. I'm not sure that's translated in English. Does Eric translate that in English?
He may have. I wouldn't be surprised if he has.
Okay.
Sorry, Kempo, which text?
It's called Gunsang Tuktik. Oh, not Gunsang Tuktik. Yeah, Gunsang Tuktik, yes.
Give me a minute.
And this is the Chongling Tersar, Chokyo Lingpa's tradition, and that is a particular Dzogchen text. And the teaching on a Dzogchen is called Sirshun, which means you need to request this teaching by gold, cannot use any other materials to request. And that particular text is called Sirshun. Sir means gold, Shun means Shu means request. And here, of course, we chant these. People are sometimes, if we don't have a Togar sort of teaching or practice, then it's a little bit difficult to say what's really going on here. And I prostrate to direct awareness of the ultimate nature. I offer the increase of visionary experience. I confess and full a measure of awareness, and I rejoice the exhaustion of phenomena, reality. So these first 4 are the 4 stages of Togar practice. The first one is direct awareness, means direct dharmata, that the vision of tuning musum, the direct dharmata or direct awareness, which is our ultimate nature. And then secondly, the visions are increasing until certain point. That way it's called increase of visionary experience. Here we have experience, but visions. And then the full measure of awareness means that is the maximum the vision can increase and perfect it. And then the visions need to dissolve or exhaust it. So that's why I call exhaustion of phenomenal reality. And then the final sort of 3 lines are more even Dzogchen things, Dharma from experience of the great transcend, how to transcend, transference, and rainbow body and youthful waste body, or this, every term is Tuga related practice here. Is that what you are talking about or something else?
I think I was just trying to seek a way in practical terms to bridge the kind of pithy instructions that we've been focusing on in relation to the Vajra verses, in terms of trying at least to recognize awareness, to more structured form related practices related to the Nundro practice that I've been doing regularly as just a way to try to kind of bring these 2 contexts together in my own daily practice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean, when it comes to daily practice, I always believe that comprehensive practices is necessary, or it's probably meaningful, helpful, because all meditation are purpose of developing some good qualities in us, and all good qualities helps the realization. So that's why preliminary practice helps us to bring us the devotion and realization and so forth. And then if we do meditations, then it will bring uh, those devotions and so forth. So blended in our practice. And also then most preliminary practice, the end of preliminary practice, we have for self-empowerment. And then the final empowerment, usually dissolution comes with dissolution, and then you need to rest in mind nature. So always we have this mixed practice, sort of that's kind of how Tibetans practice. And then you do sadhana, it's very easy to see. All the visualization is sandwiched by two sort of emptiness. The very beginning, we need to think about everything's empty, Om Subhava Shuddha, Sarva Dharma Subhava Shuddhaham. And then the final dissolution, dissolve all the deities to slowly to the Hong, Hong to the Shabji, and so forth. If you have good Yamantaka practice, then every time we have very clear how to dissolve into step by step to through even the Hong syllable. So is that what are you talking about, or I'm still not getting what you are saying?
No, I think so. I think sometimes with Dzogchen traditions, I get confused about, sometimes it seems like recognition of Rigpa is the starting point of all the other practices. And sometimes it seems as though it's the culmination of there's sort of a preliminary process of purification that results then in being able to recognize Rigpa. And I guess because I'm committed to one set of practices that I'm trying to see through, I'm just trying to see if I can take some of what we've been doing here and apply in that context while I'm still working towards that goal of having some confidence in being able to recognize the nature of mind. So I think that's what was motivating the question, because it seems like a lot of the teachings have been focused more on assuming that one is able with confidence to recognize with certainty Rigpa. And I can't claim to be there yet myself.
Yeah. But yeah, I often say that as soon as you look at your mind, and of course you need to rest naturally, but as soon as you arise from there, I think your guru is here, and your compassion and devotion automatically kind of rise. That somehow I think probably we train in that way, but you also, I mean, should feel in that way. It's these trigger to rise devotion and faith at the same compassion at the same time. Soon as in a very nice, beautiful verse, third Karmapas Mahamudra aspiration prayer. 这对我当当肩膀痛. While the tremendous compassion arise, you see the the clarity of the empty aspect of it. So these two are comes together. If devotion and compassion brings the vividness intense, and if you see clearly, then it's also the compassion and devotion naturally could rise, and that is mainly Adisha's a point that these two are really inseparable, the emptiness and compassion. And so the whole practice is doing something. We are either conceptually raising compassion and devotion, or non-conceptually we are settling in a mind nature. But these two are kind of alternating, or we can practice in it that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ted, maybe you can read that one. Oh, already. The first verse.
In the moment of love, when overwhelming compassion flows freely, its empty nature nakedly appears. May we meditate day and night, inseparable from this unity, this supreme unerring path.
Yeah. So these two are helping each other, yeah. And next one is Spencer. Maybe Leo, you can wait a little bit. We can finish this first and then we can discuss.
Got put too much in the online version of it, so I'll
Okay.
shorten it up for you. So
Summer.
yeah, my main question was about in the practice of Trekchö, from a very beginner all the way up to, fully matured practitioner and fully awake. How does the relationship to thoughts and concepts change in Trekchö practice? And I know usually it comes up of not engaging thoughts, just not relating to them. However, also in the Chuyin Zohar, also there's a verse where he talks about. I'll actually read it. So he says, if you maintain an undistracted state within the uncontrived expanse of being, even engaging in thoughts concerning sense objects is within the scope of the true nature of phenomena. So it seems like in the spectrum of Trekchö practice, there is a point at which engaging thoughts happens. Can you explain that, the process? Does that make sense?
That lines are quite difficult. I also try to translate that part, and also others, and the translation itself, English making sense. It's also another idea, another. So mainly, machu lang to mayingang dina. If you rest in uncontrived state without any fabrication, so which means there is no thoughts engaging, settled in or rest in a natural state. And then at that moment, if we talk about the Chikyu itself, it's difficult to engage any objects. But we need to think about the self-liberation, or the there's a idea that's often introduced, that we talk about the liberation is not need to change or transform or anything. If need to change, then it's not liberation. It's changing something, and that may need to fall into effort. But this part is what you are asking is a really difficult passage that Longchen has. I think here is mainly saying, once you become really advanced practitioner, the meditation equipoise and post-meditation become inseparable, not two things. There's not really engaging thoughts to literally engaging, but it's of course until become a Buddha, a dualistic sort of subject-object dual appears in that sense. I don't think he's saying you are really engaging your concept, real conceptual thoughts, but you are still in the realm of this conceptual world, and you still don't need to engage to the objects.
So it's not engaging as in grabbing onto and grasping. They're still arising, but you're not grasping at them. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. That is the idea of when we call Lingpa maybe Ningje, non-referential compassion, the Buddha's compassion we talk about. So people often ask, how can be there's no objects of compassion? How can compassion arise? It's not saying there's no objects, but it's non-referential or the no focal uh, point to see sentient being as a individual entity that intensely suffer as real suffering.
Thank you. That's perfect. You actually
Okay.
answered another question I was going to ask in that part too. So thank you.
Okay. So then what we are, Qianru, I think.
I do have a question, but it's on another text. I don't know if, because I know earlier Lee and Emilio and maybe Laura now, everybody, there are a few others also have questions. So Rinpoche, I can also wait if that works better. I just wanted to make sure others have enough time.
Maybe finish your one and then we can open to everyone.
Great. In that case, I will go ahead. Sorry, everybody. So I have a question about Bartilam self. I'm putting it in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Folks know what I'm talking about, and I can share. Yeah, thank you, Mariko. So there are four, like these four lines keep repeating in the text. It says, with your compassion, inspire us with your blessing, with your love, guide us and others along the path. With your realization, grant us attainment. With your power, dispel the obstacles facing us all. I was struck by the second line because I was somehow expecting the word to be wisdom. So wisdom guiding others on the path. You can see this in the preliminary practice too, right? Manjushri know to be the way. So it's somehow, I just assumed it was going to be wisdom. And yet here it's love. So I wanted to ask if Rinpoche can give some teaching on this line. I can also share screen.
Yeah, this yeah, you are right. There's no wisdoms talking about, but I think these texts are sort of a more intimacy that Tibetans treat Pema Sambhava, Guru Rinpoche, as a really root guru or the guru manifesting our own guru. And I think the love or the compassion is very, very sort of intimacy that people would feel. And this is written by Guru Rinpoche, but it's we chant for him. So somehow there is wisdom is all deities has wisdom. So the connection, how you make connection, guru and your yidam and your dakinis, is through other attributes. And these, of course, we humans are like favorite of other deities. So that's why we choose them as Tara is my favorite deity, or Yamataka is my favorite deity, and so forth, means they like me. So here, the wisdom is a kind of universal thing all the deities have, or Buddhas have, omniscience, but especially have these two gear, which is great compassion, Zewa is love, and Gongba is intention, or the realization. What we here is more like intention, and your power. So these are, I would say, it's somehow these texts relate to yourself rather than the universally kind of realization that's lead us to attain Buddhahood. Only I can say that much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Emilio.
Thank you. No, I have a doubt. It's about the term nature of the mind, because, well, usually the classic definition is the mind is clear and knowing. So, and when we study the prayer of Kuntu Sampo, then there's a verse that say that we need to rest in the natural state of the mind. So then, when you talk about Treso, look like is the emptiness of the mind, but then what is the nature of the mind? Is the emptiness of the mind, or is the mind itself? Or both?
Yeah. As long as we separate luminosity and emptiness, which means we are not fully understanding the mind nature. The mind nature is a union of clarity and emptiness. So that's sometimes early beginning of these texts, we talk about trikayas, the essence, nature, and compassion, and these three are inseparable. Inseparability of this nature is called mind nature, and also if we talk about trikayas, dharmakaya, sambhogakaya, nirmanakaya, so inseparability of these three kayas also our mind nature. So mind nature is really talking about luminous nature and empty nature, which is not two things, it's one thing. And luminous really means it has a cognitive ability. It's aware things. It's not necessarily shining light, but it has on a cognitive ability. That's called luminous.
So in the text of Longchenpa, in the translation from the Precepts of Madhatu, talk about in the beginning, the beginning, they say the expanse of the sun and the moon, and then the expanse of the, well, I don't remember exactly by memory, but they look like there are sun and moon are different, and so then I wonder if so clarity also apply for both, because but then I don't know what is it. What is it?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's a poetic language.
Yeah.
Poetic language is we don't really need to grab on the pinpoint language itself. It's how kind of we use these metaphors or similes, but metaphor and similes never be the actual meaning. That's the point. Then what the point to make simile or metaphors if the metaphor fully can represent things. It's just some aspect of sun and moon has this light. That's and metaphorically, we can employ that to sort of describe in a poetically. It's not necessarily have a mind is not really shiny. It's light means has cognitive ability or aware of something. Yeah. Okay. Laura, do you have something?
Yeah, but it's not well thought out really. But I was just reading this book the other day,
Uh-huh.
Heart, Heart, I can't remember. Vajra Heart by Toku Urgyen. So
Okay.
there was, well, though one might have recognized the awakened state, thoughts will still inflict harm unless one understands how to free them. When remaining in awareness itself, every thought movement, no matter what kind, is like drawing in air. And
Yeah, that's maybe earlier Spencer's questions seems also related. Yeah.
yeah, and that's when I posted in the chat, wondering if it was sort of the same thing. But now I'm forgetting what we talked about there. But would this be like sort of a Mahamudra practice? Because I understood based on what you told me in Seattle was that if you like cutting through correctly, there are no thoughts at all.
Exactly. Shukurchen Rinpoche is more Dzogchen oriented. He used Mahamudra a lot from Tat Karmapas and others, but mainly he teach Tikchus more uh, often than any other teachings. Though one might have recognized the working state, the recognition and resting is sometimes a little bit different. We thoughts will still inflict harms unless one understands how to free them. So you can see the first line is almost like maybe you are a glimpse of it and then you understand what it is and not necessarily at the moment the Tikchu practice itself. You can see the recognition we can bring in our conceptual mind to say, now I recognize it. That is something. So that's why the view is powerful, belief is powerful thing. Though one might have recognized the awakened state, thoughts will still inflict harms unless one understand how to free it. So even you believe or you recognize one time, and but if you need to know how to liberate them, free them, and then when remain in awareness itself, that is the Qingzu one is similar. If you remain in uncontrived state of natureness, every thought's movement, no matter what kind, is like drawn in the air. So then it's not really thoughts arise as before, you can tell, due to this practice. Even the thoughts rise or conceptual thoughts rise, it will not engage with objects. It's become sort of drawn in the air, means there's nothing trace of it.
I'm coming from like the Gelug tradition, so I'm still trying to put like terms to everything to understand the path structure of one and how it relates to the path structure in Nyingma and all this. So would you classify remaining in awareness in that way like a Mahamudra practice?
Uh, It's a little bit different. Mahamudra is not really, of course, when arise the realization or the dawn, the wisdom, and then things could happen in this way. Milarepa say, or the Tilopa say to Naropa that the appearances is not a bondage. It's your thought, it's just bondage. It's appearances doesn't really matter how appears and what appears. So similar, once we can get the stage of the stable stage, we call, and then things are seems to rise and falls, but we don't really engage like before, and it's become sort of liberate itself or free from itself, or it's just evaporates there. It's not we are doing it, but it's things itself as natural way of liberation. It's a little bit different than Gelupa because Gelupa tradition, we don't really think until first Bume, you cannot really directly encounter with emptiness. That's called first Bume, yeah, first Bume. So that's pretty much what we believe, but only sort of Nyingma Dzogchen teachings, Chukchu practice. Now, even the ordinary beings have access to that. We can directly access means, and then there's no kind of a bondage or the will to don't see our nature of mind directly.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. And since we did good job, everyone has very good questions. And of course, it's always good to have some questions and also read those texts and then let me know if you have questions while until our next project or meeting, what will be. And meanwhile, rest well and practice well, and you know now how to practice leisurely and lazily. Is that English? Maybe not. But somehow there's lazy means it's really good. Lazy has good, what they say, good nature. People find out how to make shortcuts. Yeah. So that's why the Dzogchen Tukyu practice is very good practice for some of us. For me, it's good. If you think you are still need that sometimes relax and lazy, but don't want to do much, then just practice Tukyu and you really energize and then a lot of energy and then do 1,000 prostrations morning and then slowly then you can slow down Guru Yoga to then dissolution in the evening. And meanwhile, you want to practice advanced deity yogas. There's tons of that, and it has different function. And some are maybe complicated to do, and someone maybe need to participate a little bit, like Ngachin Buche or someone's groupians. So that also makes a different group practice also make help us. So meanwhile, everything's Hope okay, and then see you, I don't know, soon. Anyone want to say anything, or that's
See
I
you
don't know if
soon.
Zoldy wanted to say something because Zoldy had this question that was sitting there and he
okay.
about it. So I'll let him
Please.
speak. Well,
Yeah.
Hi, Rinpoche.
Hi,
Uh,
Zodi.
I would like to ask you if it is possible to receive the transmission from the aspiration prayer of Yunka Dichem Lam, which is an aspiration prayer for the lineage.
Do you mean only the aspiration prayer part or the whole text?
Maybe for now, just the aspiration prayer, because I would like to learn how to practice and chant in the future.
Do you have any handy?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, maybe you can reject that.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Okay, everyone, this Yunga Dechen Jarmo's the opening prayer or lineage prayer of before we start the actual text. Usually we chant this. You can see this text doesn't have these two circles, which means written by inner lineage masters who these call sometimes a supplication that supply from for this Yunga practice. Yunga means the Longchen Yingte Dakini practice. Lama is Ngurun Rinpoche, Yidam is Parchen Duba, Kandro Dakini, Dechen Jarmo. He is another form of Yishin Sojer. So he is Yishin Sojer. And this is written by Jamyang Chensa Wangbo. Jamyang Chensa Wangbo is, you know, he's the first Jamyang Chensa, and he's the reincarnation of Jigme Lingpa. And Jigme Lingpa, three reincarnations, we talk about Patrul Rinpoche, and then Dorje Jewi Dorje and Jamyang Chensa Wangbo. So, okay, this is long. Rinzi yungi jundewe de chen charanbebe shi jawa sho so that's the title. We don't really chant. Xi yin qi ju zhu den gun de zang xin nong yi xie ror ba dor yes. Xi zhu ren do me ga dang ga ra ge zor wan de zo de chen yi xie. Wu san jan bre dor ji yi nian xia wu san nong yin ter chung yi re seng. Usre yengi genzi yishin dor zorwan de zo de chen yishir. Chimme pojin gunyin bema lan chimme drobe loban dongchen. Chimme ne lo ngunjir chazan je zorwan de zo de chen yishir. De chen chugo gundu zama tang den dong long ge dor je zama. Den cho jer yang ji yang cho jer ma zorwan de zo de chen yishir. Dorje luji ne yuru turu na dorje xinga hanji jives. Dorje den sam zangwe jingo la zorwan de zo de chen yisi. Reje sung yu nyumi yisi ne re na no zo zho dan de we. Rikun jia dan jik zhe lingpa la zorwan de zo de chen yisi. Song song yi xin qiar wei jing kro tang kam som zo wo jia jian du ming. Te sum rin zin za ju la ma la zor wan de zo de jian yi xie. Te dere me jie gu bi zon tan jue tang ju re ning ka nam jing yi me. Lin di le me bong long ying la ya re ju ming en jung jiang ra yi xin jie. Xiong qiu sem yin du zi yi len jing la mi mu gu tong ji ju ba. Mi yi ong tong tam zi dong ba la song dong zor xin nu ba ra xin jie. Jin ma dor ji zi mu xin to da zha zha dor ji nan de yang sa. Dong zo dor ji nan ke jir da wu de qian qian bo xin ji min ba ra xin jie. Ne kan da wa som ji den zhi ren da par ba som tong qian yi den zo. 出片鸡蛋城里南巴县我住的郎着白来新街了，他头在龙头里我们来谈高档都没一线我的，顺着五十多几送郎的送就空碰着白来新街了，基本各人从这恰到了们求出人不去，西安达到了是比建阳吧康体，各自们都我咱的人际准备。Dorje, Tungcho Darje Chiza Sorwataba, Siddharand Sava Mangalam. That is the supplication, lineage prayer. And the very beginning, if you look at it, we are struggle with these grounds, yeah? All pervading space. The ground endowed with the six special features is Samadhi Vajra. The ground is ground's manifestation, wisdom's display. Again, it's Vajra Sattva. Adam Wonderful real the path of the ground, primordial freedom, Scarab Dorje. To you, I pray, grant me the wisdom of great bliss. So you can see here, Dharmakaya as the actual ground, and then Sambhogakaya is the manifestation or display of the ground, Vajrasattva, and then more further kind of emanation of the Vajrasattva is Garabdorji and so forth. You can see the different levels of these Zal, Rupa, and Tang, and so forth can be employed here as well. Okay. We have that the moving text is my eyes sometimes a little bit kind of difficult to capture, but if there is a mistake, let me know. If not, should be okay. Okay. Den zong tu zong za be ge za gun chen re za ba mi be yi xi jian kor song yong dai chen bo ji dan ne ne lo zo ba chen bo long da.
All sources of virtue amassed throughout the three times, as represented by this practice, are, with the immaculate wisdom of pure presence and awareness, sealed within the great and total purity of the three spheres, and in the expanse of the great perfection, the natural state. Ah.
So when you meditate, you can meditate and say ah, and then look at your mind nature. Yeah.
Or long
End of the sentence, we have ah, ah.
But is it short or long?
Ah.
Ah?
It's long ah.
Ah? Okay.
Ah.
Okay, thanks.
Ah. Lo zo ba chen bo long do ah.
Glorious Root Lama, precious one, dwell on the lotus seat in the depth of my heart. Look upon me with the grace of your great compassion, and grant me the attainments of body, speech, and mind.
Continue.
Towards the lifestyle and activity of the Lama, may not even a moment's wrong view ever occur, and may I see their every action as a teaching for me. Through such devotion, may the Guru's blessing fill my mind. In all my lives, may I never be separated from the perfect Guru, and so enjoy the splendor of Dharma. Perfecting the virtues of the paths and bhumis, may I speedily attain the state of Vajra. By this merit, may all attain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy, wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings.
Okay, that was good journey, and yeah, take care and let me know if you have a question that need to resolve before you meet, before we meet, you meet. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
See you soon.